Welcome to Clear Picture Financial with Jason Noble. Hope you're having a great morning. So far, so good, Jason. Man, this is a fun show we have planned for you today. But let me explain a little bit about who you are and who you serve. You're right here in Charleston, but you actually cover the entire nation. You are licensed in multiple states, aren't you?
Yeah, we work with clients in 28 states.
Yeah, so you're all over. Jason Noble of Prime Capital Investment Advisors in Charleston. That's where your office is. And Jason's been awarded the Advisor Hub 2023 Top 5 Advisors to Watch of 100 advisors. And you're the only one on the list from South Carolina. So this is really a neato thing that you're in the top 5. And thank you to Advisor Hub. And so please, if you want to and you want to reach out to Jason, the information is going to be on the screen. But Jason, I think this is a fun show, because this is going to cover the process of exactly what it is you do. The process of meeting and interviewing a potential financial advisor, I think, is key. Maybe sometimes we skip over that because we assume people know exactly what it is you do. So if we can start at the beginning, I hope you don't mind, but could you talk to us about how you're licensed?
Yeah, so I'm licensed as a fiduciary advisor under the Investment Advisor Act of 1940. That means I have a legal obligation to do this in my client's best interest. So I also have the Series 66 license. That's the securities license with FINRA. But I also carry the CFP designation, which is Certified Financial Planner, which is considered the gold standard of financial planning in the industry. And I'm also a specialist with my Retirement Income Certified Professional designation, my RICP, where I spent additional time learning more in-depth information around retirement income planning strategies and scenarios. So those are my licenses and my registrations.
And one of those is a legal designation, isn't it? You had to take a legal test, essentially.
Well, the Series 66 has legalities in blue sky laws, is what it's referred to as. But by no means is it like a legal test as a lawyer.
Right.
But there is legality in the industry, as it should be. It should be a highly regulated industry. And I do think there's more regulations that I think could come in and should come in based off of, it took me 1 week to get my Series 66. I don't think anyone out there should just get a 66 and say they're a fiduciary, but that's what happens.
Oh, it does.
Oh yeah, where I hold myself to a fiduciary standard is not just the 66, but the CFP and the RICP. Those have codes of ethics that are involved, and I take very, very serious. At the end of the day, I'm not coming into work about what the Series 66 or CFP says I should do. No, I'm doing what I believe is in the client's best interest, and that served me well in my 20 years.
Right. Hey, can we touch on the fact that when you were training originally, when you were working for other companies, there were strategies that they said to you, well, if it's a win for her, it may not be a win for us, et cetera. Do you want to elaborate on that at this time?
Yeah. Okay. That's a good question. So I think we talked about this offline. And,
I think this is a good time to put it in.
This was when I first started into the industry. We're talking 20 years ago. And the general agent is what it was referred to as. So the supervising principal drew a triangle on a whiteboard. We did have whiteboards back then. It was not chalkboard, at least.
At least it wasn't that long ago.
I do remember the chalkboards back in the day, but no, so it was a whiteboard, which was new and fancy technology, I suppose. Right. But drew a triangle and said that the advisor, the client, and the firm represent each point of the triangle. Okay. And it was in any sort of sell that you make, either two of the three would make out really well. One would be taking a shortfall. And so he goes, if there's a product that comes out from a company that's really good for the advisor and for the client, you got to put that in front of as many people as possible, because it will be sunset. It will not be allowed to move forward. Oh. The company will not renew it. And so he goes, so beware of that. If it's really good for the client and for the company, it will stay around forever because it only hurts the advisor. And he goes, and if it's really good for the advisor and if it's really good for the company that hurts the client, those two will stay around forever because the advisors will continue to sell them and the company makes out well. And I just thought that was...
This is shocking to me. It really is. I don't know why, but it is shocking. But it's not the way you operate now. So,
well, I didn't operate back then under that because
right.
I started putting out my resume immediately after this meeting, because I wouldn't say that I was shocked, even though it's shocking information. For me, it was disturbing. It was frustrating. It was just... I understood what they were saying at the time, and I was saddened that I went into this industry that looked at it that way. And so when I was interviewing at other firms, I would ask them about this triangle, and if they knew what I was talking about, I already withdrew my application. I wasn't moving forward. But if they didn't know what I was talking about, that tells me that wasn't part of their culture,
right?
Wasn't part of their nomenclature.
Right.
And then I was able to go into different companies within my career where, I would say it really took 15 years of being in industry and that segment of the industry where I saw it to move into a win-win-win on the triangle.
Okay.
It was 15 years. So it's really happened in the last, 5 years or so where I've seen these products move in the right direction. But those products are a part of a plan, but they're not the whole plan.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we talked about this because it's kind of letting the genie out of the bottle, if you will, and on an industry that, every industry has little dark corners. And I'm so glad that you raised that issue. And I'm glad to know that, you're the man in the light,
Well, yeah.
Oh, man.
You say man in the light. I mean, my faith guides me, but I believe when I'm working with anyone that I got to stay in the light. I don't like going into the gray. And I do have some clients that want to move into the gray on certain aspects. And I'm like, no, I'm telling you, if you go down this path, that line continues to move. So let's just come back over here and stay in the light. And it served them well. And it serves me well. I could sleep well at night. And so did my clients, knowing that we're staying in the light and we're moving in the right direction, specifically to their financial goals and plans. I mean, when you're dealing with finance, you don't want to work with someone who has a compromised approach.
Right.
Because if they're compromised on their approach to you, what other facets of their life are they okay with being compromised in?
Yeah, that needs a big breath. It really does. That concept needs to breathe a little bit because it's so true, especially in today's day and age. Can I ask you, I know that we're getting close to the end of this segment. Boy, did it go fast. But how do you get paid as a guy who does what he does?
So most of my clients, they pay me directly right out of the account. And they know exactly what the fee is before they even engage with me as their advisor. Mm-hmm. And it's a pay as you go on a quarterly basis, which is really transparent, and they know exactly what the numbers are. Mm-hmm. And we call it a billing in arrears. So we do our job for the quarter, and at the end of the quarter, that's when the fee comes out. I don't condone or agree with billing up front. It's like you get paid up front and then you do your job afterwards. No, I like to bill in arrears.
Right.
The other way I can get paid is if I go into certain solutions that they pay me. The firm will pay me on that.
Okay.
And what I do is I actually take my payout schedule and I show it to my clients. I'm like, I could get paid one of three ways if you move forward with this. Which way do you want me to get paid? And
because of course you need to get paid. You are a professional.
Well, my associate advisor, he was in this meeting the first time he's ever seen me do this, and I showed him the payout schedule. And the client was like, you know what, Jason, I don't care how you get paid, but if you're asking me, I think you should get paid this way. And I was like, all right, fine. That's what you'll see on the paperwork. We get done the meeting, we wrap up, and we're going back to my office for the notes. And the associate advisor is like, I've never seen that before. Do you actually show every single person how you get paid?
Wow.
And I was like, well, yeah, of course I do. And as you move in your career here, you will do the same. This is part of the backbone of our culture, which is transparency and communication. And like now the client knows exactly how I'm getting paid, and they know that it doesn't change the service level agreement. But there's advisors out there, okay, Jackie, where they will get paid up front and you don't ever hear from them again.
No, no.
You hear from their assistant, you hear from their administrative assistant, but you don't ever hear from the advisor because they don't have any skin in the game to have the ongoing communication. And I think that's sad. It happens way too often.
It does. Are there any other costs involved?
Well, other costs could be involved. There's like what they call internal expense ratios. But as a financial advisor, I'm looking at all the costs that are involved on the internal expense ratios and anything else like that. That's going to come into play within their overall investments or approach or strategy. But I do believe that we have to look at cost-effective investment strategies and implementation of those.
Okay.
Because if I could have an expense ratio of one investment that's coming in at 0.5%, and this other investment is doing the same thing, same risk and same return profile in the same category of the market, that's coming in at half of like 0.05%, so 5 basis points versus 50. I'm going to go into the one with the 5 basis points because that's just more money in the client's pocket, or allowing them to grow and compound and continue to grow. But if I see another investment that's charging 0.5% and their comparison is coming in at 0.05, but if that 0.5% is overperforming with lower risk measures, I'm getting value for that 0.5%. So with that added value, I'm okay with that money being spent on the expense ratio. But this is why people hire me, is because I know these things and I explain it in a very simple to understand way when they see it in front of them on their page. I'll give a quick example because I know our time is running up. But this client was paying around 1% on their expense ratios, and they had no clue. By making adjustments within their 401k, we were able to get that down to 0.08%.
Wow.
That saved them 92 basis points or 0.92% a year, nearly 1% a year on fee drag, because we were able to make an better informed decision with having access to that information so that we can make the adjustment. When I showed them that and what that did to their finances over time, oh my gosh, they were excited to move forward with the services because I brought information that they never had access to. Or if they did, they never took the time to look into their 401k plan design. Well, that's what I do for a living, so I did it with joy. And I was able to bring that information forward. My wife knows that if I'm reading a 48-page document or a 148-page document, it's probably some sort of 401k document that came over from an existing or a potential client. Yeah.